Let's dive deeper into all of this with commentator Brad Polumbo. Brad, it's great to speak with you. What a week, what a roller coaster of emotions we've all been on. But let's start with the failure of the Secret Service. It seems every day we're learning more and more about what happened and more about their failures. What do you make of it?
It's the big failing I've ever seen. And honestly, the incompetence and ineptitude is staggering. It reaches a proportion I didn't know was possible for a supposedly elite federal law enforcement agency. Everything from them having flagged the shooter as a person of interest well before the shooting, to have the shooter having been spotted, having people tell officers that, hey, there's a guy up there with a gun for minutes before the actual shot gets fired. And then it comes down to essentially a stroke of luck. Donald Trump turning his head at the exact second, and thank God he did, because I would be so worried about our country right now if he had been killed. And no matter whether you support him or not, nobody should ever want something like that to happen. But the Secret Service to have decided not to station somebody on the roof because it was slightly sloped. Are you joking? Is this funny? I mean, that doesn't make any sense. They go on sloped roofs all the time, and securing the president and preventing him from getting shot at by a sniper is a little bit more important than risking an injury from the Secret Service having to go out on a sloped roof. I mean, Secret Service agents had to jump in front of bullets. So if you ask me, what's more dangerous here? I mean, the Secret Service has a huge reckoning that it needs to have, and it needs to be heavily investigated to find out, how did this happen? Because this is a failure of truly epic proportions.
And that is the key question. How did this happen? And we cannot let this happen again. There needs to be a full investigation, obviously, and that is happening. But what we have heard from the Secret Service Director, Kimberly Cheadle, who was appointed to the role by President Joe Biden in 2022 and is reportedly friends with Jill Biden, under her direction, the agency set a 30% quota for female hires. Now, not target, but quota. Let's take a look.
To expand hiring, they're aiming to have 30% women recruits by 2030, and even allowed YouTube influencer Michelle Carre to train with agents.
But I'm very conscious as I sit in this chair now of making sure that we need to attract diverse candidates.
You know, as a woman who believes in equality, I don't see the value in this, to the point it could actually be a little bit dangerous, because at the risk of stating the obvious, we are built differently to men. What do you make of this quota?
It's identity politics insanity, to the point of, like you said, actually being dangerous. I mean, look, I think women should be able to compete just like men for any other job. I would never support sexist discrimination in the Secret Service or anything else, but women and men are built differently. And the Secret Service, in pursuit of identity politics and feminist quotas, it instituted lower physical standards for female officers. They don't have to meet the same 1.5 mile run time, the same number of sit-ups, of push-ups, of crunches, these kinds of things. And that makes no sense. If women can meet the same standard that is necessary for the job, then of course they should be able to be agents. If there needs to be a height requirement, then men or women who meet the height requirement should be allowed to be it. And you know what? That might mean that you don't have 50%. You don't have perfect equality or equity. But you know what? That's okay. When it comes to matters of literal life and death, like who's going to be protecting the president and the vice president and the first lady, and there is an important role for some female Secret Service officers in, for example, the protection of the first lady. You don't want men going into the bathroom with her, right? But to have identity politics at the forefront of your operations as a supposedly elite security force is madness. Merit should be the only consideration, because we're literally talking about matters of life and death here.